so love is the fulfillment of the law. Remember that next time you find it necessary for the Lord, of course, to be unpresent in his name. He might not honour your words. We are called to be clear in our Christianity by the fact that the Lord was very clear before leaving this earth for the cross. A new commandment I give unto you. All that we do must be judged by that gauge. And if we are doing wonderful things for the Lord, but disobeying the Lord's will in that specific command, we have got it wrong. A parish, a prayer group, a monastery, a convent, a diocese in which things function, but without charity, are not actually under the lordship of the Lord. They are in control. And so charity in the Christian life has to be filtered into the modalities of our duty of state. I mentioned communities, or even parishes, dioceses. One thing is very important in each case. It's the awareness that things really can start to go wrong if one big, quiet bit is not there. Dialogue, communication. If a superior is not good at getting the heart of his subjects, he becomes an administrator. The thing functions, but the life of the heart is not passing, and that heart in isolation gets into difficulty, and down the line things go seriously wrong. Not excluding the loss of vocations after solemn vows and ordination. Things that could have been averted if there was constant dialogue and listening of heart. Marriage too can go awry. There are indications that it's starting to happen if a couple can no longer calmly be alone without a third party, a screen or whatever, and look each other in the eyes and dare to face each other head on without intermediary. A marriage too can start to function, and the heart can be absent. In our relationship with the Lord as individuals, the same can happen. If we are not able to gaze into his eyes in the tabernacle and in the monstrance, at length and without distraction and intermediary, something of the same problem is coming in there too. And I'd like to share these few thoughts from Catalina on this question. It might concern us more than we think. I believe this mystic is still alive in Colombia. A few things which are concrete. Listen. She comes one day to Holy Mass, and Our Lady wants to teach her a few things which she's not fully aware of, and her eyes and ears are opened. She gets there, and she hears these words from our Blessed Lady. Why must you all arrive at the last moment? That's called the immediate preparation. There are other preparations too. The proximate preparation, when one starts to get ready. In the monastery, it's the first ringing of the bell. One leaves everything. The remote preparation is the calm, that calm which the Lord here in the Gospel brings back to a troubled cosmos, which could be our own heart. A noisy, troubled heart who has contaminated its inner peace with too many messages and too many images. It's saturated, it's not at rest, but it's done it itself by choice. You should have arrived earlier to be able to pray. Notice, not to come in and say hello to your neighbour. And if one does that, one is distracting both oneself and one's neighbour. One is here for him. And if we had our eyes opened, we would see a plethora of angels adoring and inviting us to do the same in the Domus Dei, the house of the Lord. And ask the Lord to send his Holy Spirit. That would be better than talking about the weather and the football to your next door neighbour in the pew. And cleanse you of the spirit of the world, your worries, your problems, and your distractions, so as to enable you to live this sacred moment. Now, if one comes at the last minute, already in the build-up, one has been in the car, keeping one eye on the clock. One is not in peace, and one is also hyped up, and one can go into the resultant irritated mode, even on the way to the house of the Lord. Road rage. Get out of the way. You're making me late. However, you arrive almost when the celebration is about to commence, and you participate as if it were an ordinary event, without any spiritual preparation. Why? This is the greatest of miracles. You are going to live the moment when the Most High God gives his greatest gift. And you do not know how to appreciate it. She writes down her own reaction to this message from Our Lady. She's deeply ashamed. But then, more. The examination of conscience. And some priests are just unable to give 1 second of a pause. Quite a few celebrants have to invent some wonderful formula of their own, the penitential rite, excluding, of course, silence, which is actually prescribed. Cannot we get out of the way sometimes and let the liturgy function perfectly well, as it's meant to? And she hears these words: from the bottom of your heart, ask the Lord to forgive your faults that have offended him. In this way, you'll be able to participate worthily in this privilege of assisting at the Holy Mass. I thought, surely I'm in a state of grace. I went to confession last night. Our Lady answered, do you think that since last night you have not offended the Lord? Let me remind you of a few things. When you left home to come here, the girl who helps you approached you to ask you something. And as you were late and in a hurry, you did not answer her in a very nice way. That was lack of charity on your part. And you say you have not offended God. Then, while you were on the way here, a bus crossed your lane and almost hit you. You expressed yourself in a very inappropriate manner. against that poor man, instead of saying your prayer and preparing yourself for Mass. You have failed in charity and lost your peace and patience. You say you have not heard the Lord. You arrive at the last minute when the procession, the celebration is already coming out to celebrate the Mass, and you are going to participate without previous preparation. On it goes, not excluding Holy Communion itself, when her ears, her interior ears, are allowed to be opened to hear the prayer of the person in the pew in front of her, which goes something like this. Lord, you must sort this mess out, you must do this and this and that, and there's a big shopping list, what the Lord must do, because she has him at her disposal at Holy Communion at that point. A slot machine. And the Lord complains to this other soul, Catalina, do you hear how I am treated by my own? This is not what I intended by the gift of Holy Communion. It is a tragedy that in many a celebration, that most sacred moment of the whole week is botched. Anything at all to exclude a moment of silence. It is questionable whether there is any need in most Sunday celebrations for anyone but the priest to give the body of the Lord. The conditions that the Vatican laid down clearly for extraordinary ministers are very stringent. In places like Poland and Hungary, where the norms are observed, they don't use them when there are fewer than about 300, 400 or 500 people. Because the mentality is that speed is the determining factor in a liturgy. It's not that long since I was an altar boy in Cardiff, growing up, when there were lots and lots of people at the 5 Masses on a Sunday, hundreds. But there were always only priests giving Holy Communion. And the lay people had another function at that point. Do you know what it was? Sustaining an atmosphere. We had a good parish, there were 6 or 7 monks, Benedictines, and their approach was different. Continuity. What we need at this point is to get the people to sing, yes, hymns they know, maintain for, why not, 10 minutes, an atmosphere of gentle praise and worship in which Holy Communion is given and absorbed and bears fruit in the soul's coming. In many a celebration right now, hardly has communion been given that before even the post-communion prayer, the church notices are being given. It's incorrect, and it's also a profound misunderstanding of the nature of the encounter of the people with its God. We are in a hurry, and that hurry has come into our liturgy as well. We come in out of breath and go out of breath. And we have not met Jesus Christ, for we have been busy doing our own thing. This was not the way that it was done over the centuries in Ireland. On this St. Bridget's Day, we're going to bless these crosses which Adele has made for us. Thank you, Adele. And we're going to ask St. Bridget to watch over our families. These are going to be kept for Adele's group, the others if anyone who wants there. And we ask St. Bridget to obtain for us something of the charity that she had, which was well understood in the Catholic Church of old. These saints had true gifts of paternity, fraternity, the Anam Chara of old, the soul friend. May St. Bridget obtain for us the grace of being soul friends to somebody this day, an open heart who will listen and be a place of refuge for some troubled soul. God bless these crosses and those who honour St. Bridget with them, and the houses with it exposed,